One of my favorite quotes about communication is from Leslie Hale, which goes like this: an amazing thing happens when you stop seeking approval and validation. You find it. People are naturally drawn like magnets to those who know who they are and cannot be shaken. I really love this quote. I think it's a very important quote because it brings to light the importance of knowing who you are. It ties in how knowing who you are makes you confident, which in turn helps you be a better communicator. It helps you to want to approach people, and it helps people to be able to approach you. Because when you're confident and you give off good vibes, people want to be around people like that, and people want to surround themselves with a circle like that. So, in every single aspect, definitely knowing who you are helps that. Today, the speech that I will be giving you will teach you the importance of knowing who you are. It will teach you how people see you and how you can help people perceive you better, and just how help you understand how people and what you do and how they perceive you, how that basically works. So I will have three main points, which will be understanding how you communicate, how you perceive others, and how other people perceive you. So starting with the first point, understanding how you communicate. Knowing yourself is the first part of being a good communicator. Whenever you're trying to become a good communicator, you're trying to learn how to get up in front of people, how to talk, how to lead, how to do anything that like that, whether it's on a big scale, whether it's on a small scale, no matter what, it can be hard. But knowing who you are will help you get to that point. One thing that the key to effectiveness communication, the quotation that I have for that was an amazing article. One thing that it talks about is how knowing who you are, knowing your strengths and weaknesses, and being honest with yourself will actually help you to be a better communicator, because you are more self-confident and you want to help people. Because once you find out who you are, you realize how happy you can be. You realize how amazing it is to not be shaken just by someone telling you how they feel about a certain thing. I know that for me personally, before I was a confident person, before I really understood who I was, and I soul searched and found out who TJ Burke was, Timothy James Burke is, per se, I guess you would say. It was hard for me to connect with people. It was hard for me to be confident. Whenever I was like that, I was just always scared, and it was hard to have fun with anything. And ever since I figured out who I am, and knowing how I communicate and the things that hold me back, and different things like that, I have become a much happier person, and it makes me want to share that with other people. Obviously, with the job that I have, being a manager for Dillard's, I get to meet with a lot of people. I'm a manager over people that are younger than me and people that are older than me, and it really helps me to know who I am. It helps me to connect with other people and to help them figure out who they are. So that's a really awesome thing of where I can tie that of what I get to do with that. So the next point that we're going to talk about is how you perceive others. Stereotyping is a huge issue that a lot of people deal with, and that's really what I want to talk about today. The interpersonal relationships quote that I have down in my citations is really just going to bring to light the visual aspect of it. I know in the job that I do, one thing that I look at is how someone is dressed, how people talk, how does their hair look, how does their facial hair look, is their tie tied correctly. Different things like that will be how I judge how someone can do their job, because I work in sales. So typically, how people see you and how you dress yourself is the biggest thing, but that's often not a good way to judge character. And oftentimes, honestly, can be not even a good way to judge how someone's going to be a good worker. I've definitely had people come in with a poorly tied knot, and they were the most amazing employee that you could ever have. I've had people that have come on and, dress pants and a nice shirt, but they have tennis shoes on because they couldn't afford to get the dress shoes. And they've been the most amazing employee that you could ever have. So, I mean, honestly, it's really sad whenever us as people, we take that too far and we look at people and we judge them for what they look like, because that's wrong, because you can never look at someone and judge a book by its cover, like the age-old thing that we've always said. So perceiving others, when it comes to stereotyping, is an issue that we have, and we need to step back and look at people and learn who they are, talk to them, figure out who they are, and that's when you can make a true, actual judgment as to who someone is. And realizing stuff like that makes you a better communicator, because you aren't afraid to approach somebody that may look a little bit straggly, may have a little bit of dirt on their clothes, maybe have a big old beard. You get comfortable around those people because you understand people are different. And the very last point that I will have will be how other people perceive you. The big important thing about that is you have to know who you can be based on your audience. If you're giving a speech, if you're up on stage, or if you're just visiting someplace, if you're at a church, you're going to act different than what you would whenever you're at a sporting event. I'm not saying that you would act completely out of character, but there's different things that are appropriate, different attires that are appropriate, different things of how you're going to speak, how you're going to talk to people. Is going to be totally different based on your audience and who you're around. So know who your audience is, know your people, and whenever you're up on stage, you're giving a speech, if you're in church, always be sensitive to people that are around there and know that people could get offended by certain and different things. And that can be the same for any scenario, whether you're at work. I have to realize that whenever I am at work, that I have to have a filter, I guess you would say. And that's really the best way to put it, is you have to have a filter around certain different people and use different filters, because there's an appropriate way to talk in front of your friends, and there's an appropriate way to talk in front of your associates, or your church members, or your little league that you coach, or whatever it may be. So really, just to wrap this up, there are the three main things of communication that I think is very important by reading through the book, which is just understanding how to communicate, how to perceive others, and how other people perceive you. Always make sure that you're being that you're always soul searching, that you're always trying to be self-aware and understanding yourself. Do not stereotype people. Always make sure that you let people prove who they are to you, and always make sure that you know who your audience is, and always protect yourself. Thank you guys for listening to this. I appreciate it. As I did not say in the beginning, my name is Timothy James Burke. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it.